There are times that you might want to change how the data is treated in the software to best match your area or to kind of get a better accurate snapshot of the neighborhood patterns. Now we allow that very simply by using some settings functions. So let's walk through those really quickly. To open settings, just click this cog button here, and you'll see that we have this dialog box open up. Now in this dialog box, there's a number of things that you can do to change how data is treated or shown in the software. For example, this first option here allows you to alter when the changeover to a new year month is. For example, if we were to do a search for data in February, we probably wouldn't go ahead and start the first graph of the patterns for that year. We'd use the previous 2 years. So if this was February 2025, we probably would have 2024 and 2023 show just because there's not enough data to really call 2025 a full year yet. Now you can change when that actually switch happens. The default is in June or halfway through the year, but you can go ahead and change this to March, or if you wanted to, just make it January and start fresh even though there's not that much data. We can also go ahead and look at this and say, what do we want to do as far as duplicate listings go? Now when it comes to that, this allows us to really say if a listing kind of came on, they took it off, they put it back on, they took it off, put it back on. The default is 0, but if we add a day's number in here, if a house has come off the market and been put back on for 30 days, for example, and we put 30 in here, it would go ahead and merge those two and call that one listing. This is a good way to sometimes to avoid having a situation where a house has come on the market and come off multiple times, and you don't want to show a house or the withdrawn number in the odds of selling as really bad because this house is 10 withdrawals when really it's the same property. So that allows you to go ahead and make sure the data is treated correctly if you have a situation like that. This often happens in new construction areas. Now as far as the other data options go, we have an option here to show the data in 3, 6, and 12 months for the odds of selling. And you would do this if your area is very fast moving and there's been a lot of sales happening. The standard is the last 12 months, the last year, and the year prior. However, this 3, 6, and 12 months gives you another option to really make it kind of match your market. In the patterns area, we also offer the ability to do the median instead of the average on the time to sell chart. Sometimes this is a good one to use if you have kind of like really huge outliers that are pulling the average high or low, and you can kind of see that it doesn't quite make sense. So for example, in this time to sell chart, if one house sold after 200 days and another house sold after 100 days, and then you had 10 homes that sold, at 60 days, those 200 and 100 day ones are going to really pull the average up. Whereas if you used median, you'd probably be more accurate in that case. And we do see that occasionally in areas where there's high seasonality or there was something with a home maybe that had bad condition or something that took longer to sell, but that would really skew the time to sell chart incorrectly. So go ahead and click that option to turn it on if that's the situation for you. Also in the data treatment on patterns, we have the option to treat under contract as sold, for sale, or be ignored when it comes to the odds of selling. Now the reason why this option is in here comes to your market, and some people are thinking, oh thank God, and some people are thinking, why would you ever use this? It really comes down to how under contract are reported in your MLS about how you would actually want to represent this. Some places treat under contract as sold, some places as far as the MLS treats them as for sale, and so we want to make sure we match that data correctly. Now moving on to the next tab here from the reading MLS info to the options page, there's a couple options here for data that is not necessarily the patterns based, but now we're moving into the pricing area. So first off, we can show the data of graphing price per square foot on the Priceline chart. If you are using the Priceline chart, we don't normally show the price per square foot. We actually go ahead and just let it be the stacked line, but if you want to add that, all you have to do is select this button here, and you're ready to go. You can also show the sold and list price difference as a percent instead of value. Some people really like that, seeing if it's 90%, 95%, as opposed to a $5,000 or $10,000 reduction based on the list and sold price. It's kind of one of those things of personal choice where you might see a number on the higher end of the scale be much larger and people think, oh wow, that was really a lot lower. when it's actually the same difference on a lower priced home in the area versus a higher priced home. They're both 10%. It's just the effect kind of makes it look different. So if you want the percentage, that option is here. We also have the option to use days on market from the MLS instead of calculating it. The standard, the way the software works is we calculate the days on market by looking at the list date and then compare that to today. Now, sometimes you can use that from the MLS and the MLS will report it. It can be different than that calculation based on the way that it's actually reported in the MLS, because the MLS a lot of times in some areas will actually use the contract listing contract date as opposed to the date it went live in the MLS. You can also then make the option of using the under contract date instead of the sold date if that was kind of more important for you. And some people like doing that versus having to do the calculation backwards from the sold date to kind of discuss about timing and everything with their customers. You can also change the way the data is shown to say list price versus original list price. Just one of those things that we had customers ask for. I should make a note about that is all these different data options for the most part were feedback from you, our customers, asking for a different option to be in there, and we were able to put this in the software in the settings function. Also, the price per square foot calculations, we can do this by total square feet, finished square feet, or above ground square feet. The standard is total square feet, but if you want to change that to better match the graph, if you're using, for example, the fair market value trend line on finished square feet, come to settings, click this option here, and then you're ready to go. One last little thing regarding the data. On the positioning area, we have the option to use the 3 months for the pond, and that's our 3 pond period, and the 12 for a value positioning period being for a year. You can change this based on the speed of your market, or if you wanted to kind of look at the next 45 days or longer, come in here, you can change this and really change the way the data is kind of handled when it comes to the pond and positioning. Again, we have a number of different data options for you here. I kind of just talked about them and when you might use them. These are all based on your feedback. So all you have to do if you want to change any of these data options is come in here, select that box, click OK, and then to see the effect change in your software, you then need to re-upload the data to recreate the graphs. So in this case, I changed it to 3, 6, and 12 months for the odds of selling. I'm going to upload the data. Again, if you already had data in here and then made that change, you'd have to re-upload that data again to remake the graphs to see the effect of your settings difference. But I changed that data, changed that settings on the data in this case, re-upload the data, and now you'll see if I go to the patterns, this now shows the 3, 6, and 12 months, where the standard would be 12 months last year and the year prior. So all these data options are available for you. Remember, it's under the settings option here. Change what you'd like to best match your customer profile and your market. Click OK to save, and then re-upload the data, and you'll see that change on the graphs.